Welcome back to Capitol Tonight. Wayne Roberts is the CEO for the voter-approved Cancer Prevention and Research Institute of Texas, appointed officially as CEO after a moratorium was put in place and some legislative mandated changes for CPRIT because of some of the improperly approved grants before your tenure. But since you were last on the show, a lot has changed. You were interim CEO, now CEO. What has happened in that period of time? What's changed for CPRIT after the moratorium was lifted?
A lot has changed in the last 15 months, Paul, and I think all of it really good. At the time I was here last, as you may recall, we were still in the moratorium. We were treading water, and the new oversight committee had not been appointed yet. They got appointed primarily in October of 2013. The moratorium was lifted. We had our first meeting on November the 1st. When that new board came on board, we had 118 pending contracts that were a result of the moratorium, 17 grants that needed final approval. We had had no new applications in 11 months, so we'd been treading water. 51 state auditor recommendations needed to be implemented. The new legislation, Senate Bill 149, needed to be implemented. Since then, under the direction of that oversight committee, we have really been full tilt. We ended up being fully subscribed. As you might guess, there was an enormous backlog of projects that people wanted to bring to us. But since then, all of those pending awards have been approved and contracted. All the recommendations in the legislation, SB 149, were adopted. All of the state auditors' recommendations were adopted. 147 new grants have been awarded for $337 million. So the interest obviously was there. 683,000 Texans have gotten prevention services. And with respect to product development, 18 patents issued and 41 pending applications. So we've been busy.
And as you said, before that period of time, treading water, you caught up. There was those who you wanted to try to help with what they were trying to accomplish in the area of either cancer prevention or research. But now another year brings new priorities.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about how CPRIT is now looking at the grant application process, because it's a little bit different, a little bit more focused.
Yes, and this is one of the most exciting changes in Senate Bill 149. Previously, the way we operated was we would issue requests for applications that were broad, and the researchers at the different institutions of higher education would bring forth their ideas. And through our peer review process, we would take the best of the best as they came in. We typically fund about 13 or 14% of the applications that are brought to us. Now we're going to continue to do that, but with a very significant difference. The board has adopted these priorities, which will help us issue RFAs that are more oriented to those priorities, so we can try and fund those. However, again, it doesn't preclude other applications coming in, the best of the best, so to speak, but it will be a tilt towards these new program areas, and they were just adopted last month. For instance, in research, the priorities are going to be in prevention research, not continued prevention activities, but what are items in the environment that we can identify in order to prevent getting cancer in the first place. There's going to be a focus on rare and intractable cancers, and along the lines of rare would be juvenile and adolescent cancers that have not received the same levels of support or funding historically as other cancers. In prevention, we're going to continue trying to serve every one of the counties, 254 counties. In product development, we're really going to be stressing translation of research in the university labs in order to get products to the marketplace, viable products. But all three of the programs are going to be focused on getting treatments, products, devices to the bedside to treat people with cancer now.
Talk about the reasoning behind doing the focus in this area and just doing a focus in general. It seems as though financially, perhaps you're hoping that there's a greater impact than kind of having it across the board, even if you have a great project here and a different kind of project there, that you would like to see the amount of money, what, $300 some odd million, go and really make a difference.
The priorities were put into state law because it provides the first time the general public and the researchers and the media to understand what the board is trying to get to. The board had priorities previously, but they were never publicly articulated. The Program Priorities Project allowed us in public meetings to discuss different facets of cancer research that they'd really like to get into, or other cancer activities. The reasons why we focused on what we did is we did not want to be a mini NCI. We wanted to find ways to really leverage our $300 million the most effectively. And historically, rare cancers, pediatric cancers, adolescent cancers, have not gotten the same kind of funding attention for a variety of reasons. One of them being they are rare just by definition.
Right.
And as a result, products or pharmaceuticals developed for those don't have the same kind of market that a lung or a breast or a cervical cancer has, so there is less private incentive to invest in that kind of research. So we wanted to focus into those areas.
And in fact, in the area of childhood or juvenile cancer, Congressman Michael McCall, right, this has been something that he has been working on for the past several years.
He's done some really good work up there in Congress on it, and given his other responsibilities, it's great that he can give his attention to pediatric cancers as well as Homeland Security.
Tell me about if there's an example you can give us with the latest round of grants, just as we part here, of here's a project, here's the money that's going towards it, and what we hope comes of it.
Yeah, the last round of grants, last November, we had 32 of them totaling right at $65 million. And what always stands out to me in any of the award cycles we have are the recruitment grants, the opportunity to bring in young researchers from outside of the state to Texas institutions. If you stop and think that one of these recruits might have 20, 25 years worth of productive research in him or her, and you take in the number of recruits we brought into the state now, which totals around 80, that's 2,000 years of productive research that we brought into the state of Texas to this point in time. We want to continue focusing on that. I predict that by the time CPRIT winds down, we'll have the best cluster of cancer expertise anywhere in the world. But there are 3 projects that we've funded at this point in time that really do stand out to me. A couple of weeks ago, the Wall Street Journal reported on work by Jim Allison at MD Anderson, where he's going in and finding ways to encourage your people's immune systems to act as natural brakes to stop malignant growth of cancers. And this work, this seminal work that he has done, has now been picked up worldwide and is getting enormous attention. Out in El Paso in West Texas, we've got a research grant to Zaina Naileh at Texas Tech, where she's providing clinical trials related to early diagnosis and prevention of Latinos in the West Texas area. And then finally, and there are many others, Apollo Endosurgery here in Austin, product development award that developed a novel device, worth a flexible device that will go in and remove early stage lesions from the colon, the esophagus, or the stomach without invasive surgery. So there's an immediate benefit to that.
Wayne Roberts is the CEO for the Cancer Prevention and Research Institute of Texas. Thanks very much for the update. We really appreciate it. And we're back with more Capital Tonight right after this.